Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Nowadays, it's not easy to talk about the topic, women in Islam, in a place where the public view might be heavily affected by many factors and unfortunate events. Crimes are being falsely associated with Islam. There is a tornado of religion, culture, human rights, freedom, personal interests and opinions, politics, industrialism, modernism and feminism shadowing the planet and turning societies to an unpleasant situation. And we are attempting to identify the steering forces. You will agree with me that finding out who is who, what is true, what is false, is not an easy task. The road to truth has never been easy, so today is not exception. Always it's been like that. However, even one step counts. We have to take our step, small or big. The most important step, in my humble opinion, is to free ourselves from all kinds of bias, including religious, cultural, politics, prejudice, you name it. That's the most important step. We must think out of the boxes. Otherwise, we will never understand the core opinions that are different from ours and seem to be unacceptable to us. Nevertheless, they might be not that different if looked up deeply and carefully. I must confess that we Muslims are a world of cultural clutter. We have mixed everything with religion. Personal feelings, thoughts, traditions, family norms, and even jokes have been elements of our religion. Very unfortunate. We must free ourselves from these retrogressive, not progressive, retrogressive forces when they are against teachings of Islam. Forget about tradition, culture. The first message of Islam was forget about your tribe. Come to the message. Women in Islam, our topic. But wait a minute. Why not women in history and in the world first? And then women in Islam? Women have been the focal point of many religions and cultures before Islam. Islam is not an initiator of gender-related matters, but a moderator. There were and are many religions and ideologies that impose certain rules and definitions on women. Christianity, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and even ancient Chinese, 5,000 years ago. There is a letter in Chinese. If I have time, I will show it and explain it. All these cultures and religions and ideologies have words to say about gender differences and their specific rights and obligations. Some worked well in protecting women, but some didn't. In Muslim countries, it's the same case. Some of the rules worked well, some didn't. But can we blame Islam for it? That's the question. The law which didn't work in certain communities, Muslim communities, was it the law, the fault of law, the fault of Islam, or Muslims? That's debatable. You see, I'll give you an example. Hospitals are places where people get treatments. The purpose of a hospital is to make people healthy and well. However, most of the people in a hospital are sick and unhealthy. Right? That's obvious. Most of the people in hospital are sick and unhealthy. However, the purpose of hospital is make them healthy. Can we then say that the hospitals are unable to serve the purpose? No. The hospitals are processing the purpose. If there are crimes and inhuman acts in a democratic state, second example. If there are crimes and inhuman acts in a democratic state, can we blame democracy for it? No. Apply it to the Muslim countries. If there are still un-Islamic cults and cultures in Muslim countries, can we blame Islam for not being able to correct all Muslims? No, we cannot. In a nation where a religion is aiming equality, fairness, justice, and love, you don't see much of these. The purpose of that, the purpose of religion, supposedly is equality, justice, guidance, purity, piousness, love, well-being. But you don't see much of it. Instead, there is discrimination in these countries, partiality, and hate. Can we blame religion for it? And call it inefficient and impractical without having enough correct knowledge of the religion and the society's culture? No, we can't do that. That's illogic. I have realized in my researches that there is no system of belief, absolutely, there is no system of belief that takes the women's right as serious as Islam does. Impossible. You bring me one. You bring me one system of belief in the course of history that takes the women's right as serious as Islam does. Today, right here in front of the congregation, I will leave Islam. Impossible. There is none. Islam systematically protects women and emphasizes the importance of women's role in the society. It's not just a slogan. The inheritance right, that's a big debate on it in the history. No religion gives clean, clear, pure, and legal right to women to inherit except Islam. You bring me one religion, impossible, unless they are made in the last couple of hundred years. The inheritance right, the choice of marriage, right to own a property and manage it, the right of education, freedom of speech, these are from Quran. And much more are carefully taken in consideration in the Islamic jurisprudence. Only in Islamic jurisprudence. Talmud, I have read it, most of it, related to the women's topic. Bible, I have read it in several languages, different languages, including Hebrew and Greek. There is nothing like that. Nevertheless, if it's not observed fully, if these laws of protection of women's rights are not observed fully, it's not the deficiency of Islam. It's my fault. I didn't respect it because in the back of my mind, my culture doesn't let me listen to God's word. My culture. If women are suppressed in some Muslim countries, it's not from the Islamic faith, but it is in contrary to it. The Holy Quran says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة. This verse is enough to silence all nonsenses in the world about Islam, women's rights in Islam. This single verse out of tens of verses in the Quran is enough to silence them. It says, I quote, this is in chapter 4, Surah An-Nisa, verse number 1. The first ayah, first verse in chapter called Nisa means women. It says, I quote, O mankind, be careful of your duty to your Lord, who created you from a single soul. Everybody is created from a single soul. There is no man and woman, single soul. If you continue the verse, there are more interesting things, but I will leave it to you, your homeworks. This is a warning to all mankind not to look down. This verse is a warning to mankind not to look down on other races or opposite gender. We all are different. We all are different. But equal in creation, as Amir al-Mu'mineen Imam Ali alayhi salam said. We are equal. Different, but equal. Today, it may not be exciting to hear that God created us from one single soul. It's not exciting anyone. It seems to be. But it was a revolutionary statement 1400 years ago. This verse is revealed 1400 years ago in a part of the world that woman was nothing, just like farm animal. The public view on the existence of women was a complete disaster in those times. Complete disaster. The existence of women. Let alone the rights, the women's rights, nothing. This verse came down that time. Having a female baby was a shame to the family. Bedouin Arabs used to bury them alive. Women was a property of men. Men on those times owned them, traded them, beat them, and dumped them whenever they wished so. In such society, Islam emerged and raised the status of women to a level that the world never seen it even today. I will bring examples. In such society, claiming that men and women are equal was a historical and exceptional revolution and rehabilitation. Only by comparing it with the status of women in the most so-called civilized countries, such as Canada and the United States, we can appreciate what Islam brought to humanity. While women here in Canada, where we are, while women here in Canada were not considered as a person till mid-20th century. Did you hear it? Here in Canada, women were not considered a person till mid-20th century. 1300 years before that, that means 1400 years ago, women were considered the honor of heaven in Islam. Remember the hadith? Women are, the heaven is under the feet of women. And what it means, the women honors the heaven. This is what Islam believes 1400 years ago. However, in 1928, not very far, 1928, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled that women were not persons. Woman is not person. That's what the court said. According to the British North America Act, and therefore they were ineligible for appointment to the Senate. They're not person. In another word, they're not human being. We can't let animals get into the Senate, in the Parliament. They're not human being. As the court says, just mid-20th century. Women in the United States, in the USA, had no legal right to own a property until the beginning of 19th century. No legal right. You can't own property. A woman and her belongings would be transferred to her husband at marriage. You marry with a man, you lost everything. You lost your name, you lost your property, you lost your belongings. You are not anymore a person. It's your fault, you shouldn't marry. That's the law of the United States. It was until the beginning of 19th century. I'm going a little slow. Maybe I should a little bit speed up. Compare it to Islam. A woman can own a property, manage it herself, and use it for herself if she wishes so. That's not today's law. 1400 years ago. Not today, not last century. Compare it to Christian world. In Islam, even the richest woman, now the ladies who are rich, listen to this. Even the richest woman must be provided with living necessities by her husband. You don't have to spend a penny from your pocket. That's for you. Which country has that rule? You show me one in the world except Muslim communities. You have to pay half of the bills, you ladies, and the man also, half of the bills. Sharing life. Islam says no. You must pay. Her assets are hers. Spend it for whatever you want. It's yours. This is only in Islam. In China, even today, a female baby or fetus is killed because a male child is preferred. In Islam, let's listen to Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam, what he says. According to him, daughters are a reward while sons are a bounty. Daughters are reward from whom? From God. When God gives you a female child, it means God gives you a reward. This is reward. This is the Islamic look at the female babies. Compare it with Europe. England, for instance, in 17th century. 17th century, not very far. Only 300 some years ago. England in 17th century witnessed, listen carefully, the peak of wife-selling business. They sold their wives on the streets, in public, and they were proud of it. The highest number of women the wives sold in England was the 17th century. And it continued until beginning of the 20th century. Continued. That was a business. Just like you're taking your farm animal in the market and selling it. Auctions of wives in the Christian country, England. Can you even bring it anywhere near to Islamic culture and Islamic rules? No. Forget it. You will be stoned to death if you talk about it even, according to Islam. They used to buy and sell women, just like farm animals. Woman is the source of separation of man and God. Woman made man separated from God. The distance between me and God, the cause of it is woman. This is according to the story of fall of Adam and Eve in Genesis, the book of Genesis, chapter 3. I'm reading Bible, Torah, today's Torah. Jews and Christians believe it. 2.5 billion people believe it, that women is the source of evilness. That's according to Bible. Study, go read the Bible chapter 3 and you will see what it says about women. Because woman was the one who deceived Adam. And Jesus suffered and died because of the sin of woman, according to Christianity. Now they're not talking about it. I wonder why. It seems they don't believe anymore to their own book. They have no faith in the scripture anymore. Something is wrong here. They're hiding something. They're hiding something. They point to verses in the Quran, just cutting part of it and reading it. Look, beat your woman. Look, your woman has no right. You look. Excuse me. Open your own Bible. Let's read it. Now let's talk historically, what happened. This extremism in European countries. Now this is important because that teaches us a lesson. That teaches to us, to we Muslims, a lesson. The extremism in European countries turned the table upside down. Women claimed freedom just after the French Revolution. They claimed freedom little by little, gender equality. However, very soon, a new path started to appear. From extreme suppression to extreme freedom. We call it ifrat and tafrit. From extreme suppression to extreme freedom. And the result of it was what we see in the West today. Women became an advertisement mannequin in consumerism. They use women to sell their products. That's what they call it, freedom. Women gained the honor of smoking, drinking, clubbing, and being a public property. That's called freedom. We are free to do whatever we want. You men smoke, why not I smoke? You men drink, why not I drink? You men go to clubs, I will go clubs. Is this really the real value of humanity? A real freedom of man, real equality of man? Whatever the hell the man does, you go do also? You call that freedom and equality? Something is wrong. About hijab. This is the last part of my talk. It's already 24 minutes, maybe a few more minutes. I have nice slides to show. I hope I can reach those points. I leave usually good parts to the end. The hot topic, today's topic is hijab. Very hot topic now. Shouting, yelling, breaking, killing, hijab. Let's see what it is. It's simple. Let me clarify this at the beginning. Before I enter to the hijab, let me clarify this. No misunderstanding from my words. I want to make it clear. Islam is the religion by choice, not force. Choice. As a matter of fact, Islam is the only monotheistic religion by choice. There is no other religion gives you choice. Never, ever, nowhere in the Bible, in Hindu books, you see choice of religion. Only Islam gives you la ikraha fi din. You know, famous verse. No compulsion in religion. In religion itself, there is freedom. To choose the religion, you are free, let alone to obey the religion. There is freedom. I made it clear. Hijab is considered by most of the Westerners as a symbol of women's oppression. You heard it? They think your hijab is a symbol of your oppression. You're oppressed. Somebody forcing you to do that. Westerners. Not all of them, most of them. If it is true, then all ancient civilizations, including Chinese, Assyrians, Persians, Arabs, Romans, Greeks, they all are guilty of suppressing, oppressing women. They all are guilty because they all did, and still in many parts of Christian world and Jewish world, they still do. Believing Christians who are practicing their religion, they all have hijab. Some of them have better hijab than our Muslim sisters. Just go search internet. Look up to the Orthodox Church, the Russian Orthodox, Greek Orthodox. In Turkey, there are churches, their hijab is amazing. When you look at the hijab, you think it's 50 years ago, 100 years ago, in Mashhad or in Qom or something like that. You don't really believe until you dig into it and you say, no, this is a church and these are normal Christians. In Turkey, where Muslims don't care about their hijab even, but you see in Christian world. So, if hijab is oppressing women, then that's in Christian world also. In ancient China, in Assyrians, there is Assyrian tablet called tablet A. It says, royal ladies and free ladies only allowed to have. Now listen, they say free ladies and royal ladies from the palace. Only they are allowed to have veil, hijab. Slaves and prostitutes, they are not allowed to have veils because veil was a sign of greatness, respect. They were not allowed to have veils. Only free ladies and decent ladies and royal ladies allowed. But when Islam came and said, wait a minute, if it's good, then it's good for everyone. Why not let everyone enjoy this protection? Why you don't protect even the slaves, even the guilty ladies? Protect them. Islam said there is no difference between human being. We all are equal. Hijab is for all. In Judaism, in today's Torah, I don't say Torah, but today's Torah, what we have today, uncovering women's head is a disgrace. That's the reason a priest, Jewish priest, uncovers the veil of a suspected adulteress in her trial. Read the book of Numbers, chapter 5, verses 16 to 18. There is a nice discussion in Talmud. Talmud is the Jewish interpretation of Torah. 63 books. It's a library of books, Talmud. In figure number 1, you can see, I will read only one sentence out of it. It's very interesting. Go find it in Talmud. Ketubot 72a. That's the book name. Ketubot, chapter 72, statement A. I'll read only one sentence. There is a warning to Jewish women. Talmud says, there is a warning to Jewish women not to go out with an uncovered head. It's a warning. Now there are tens of words about this in the Talmud. I will just leave it maybe for future. In Christianity, all believing Christians who practice the faith cover their head and body. The dress code in Christianity is not much different from Judaism. It's same. However, the philosophy is the dividing point. Why Christians cover their hair is different from the reason Jews cover their hair. The philosophy is different. In Judaism, women must cover their head because it's the law of Torah. The Torah says you have to cover it. It is for a distinction too, not just the law of Torah. It's for a distinction of some noble married women. They must be distinctive from the slaves, so they have hair covered. In Christianity, the veil, that's right. Yes, salawat united. In Christianity, the veil, the hijab, is for honoring her husband. She wears hijab to honor her husband, not her duty. If you don't have hijab, you're dishonoring your husband. Where it says, Paul says in 1 Corinthians, chapter 11, verses 3 to 10. I will pass it, I won't read it. Because there is a punishment for it. You show your hair, we will shave your hair, your head. Punishment. In Islam, the Holy Quran has an interest. I am not a scholar of Quran. Don't take my opinions about Islam and Quran very serious. Ask your mujtahid, ask your alim, ask your faqih, not me. I'm just telling you what I understand. I'm giving you my understanding. Don't take it serious. It's not your reference point. Ask your mujtahid. But I'll give you my reference. It's the world of freedom, and I am allowed to speak. If I'm wrong, my master, Dr. Misbah, is there. He will definitely correct me. In Islam, the Holy Quran has an interesting approach to hijab. Very interesting approach. Listen carefully. The Quran urges the believing man and women, not just women, man and women, all men and women, to lower their gaze. Don't look at, we call it unlawfully namahram. Don't look at unlawfully with evil intention. First, keep your heart pure, your mind pure. So Islam, Quran first thinks about your soul. First your soul, for your inside. Lower their gaze and guard their modesty. Then says guard your modesty. It means dress with modesty, dress properly. First inside and then outside. So inside is more important. But of course, outside also an expression of inside in most of the cases. So, there is a hijab verse in the Quran. Everybody is familiar with it. Figure number 2, please, Dr. Peykari. In chapter 34, Surah An-Nur, verse number 30. I will just read the translation for sake of the time. Say to the believers, they should lower their gaze and guard their private parts. That is pure for them. That is pure for them. It's for purity. Who doesn't want to be pure? Everybody wants. Allah is aware of the things you do. They do. He's aware what you are doing. The modesty is prescribed to protect women from molestation and guard society from crimes, divorce and harassment. This is the reason of dress code, to protect women and society from crime, divorce and harassment. There are books about it written. I can't say all these in this short time. The philosophy of veil in Islam, unlike the Christian tradition, is not a sign of man's authority over woman, nor is it a sign of woman's subjection to man. Islamic veil, unlike the veil in the Jewish tradition, is not a sign of luxury and distinction of some noble married women. The Islamic philosophy of veil is keep temptation away and bring purity, safety and piety to the society. That's the philosophy. Who doesn't like safety and piety in the society? Who doesn't like? Unless you don't believe, no, hijab will not bring any of these. We're going to talk about it. This is the next. Some people today, you can hear in the news, in YouTube, you see lots of videos recently from our fellow countrymen. Some people would tend to ridicule the whole argument of modesty for protection. Modesty doesn't bring protection. Hijab doesn't bring protection. Nonsense, they say. Their argument is that the best protection is the spread of education. You have to educate people. Civilized behavior. You have to spread the civilized behavior. People must be civilized. You don't need put women in the case in order to bring safety to her, they say. And you have to educate people to have self-restrainment. They have to restrain themselves from evil intentions. That's what they say. Yes, I also agree with it. I agree with all these. We have to educate people about all these topics. But did the Quran oppose these ideas? Does the Quran say, no, don't educate people about piety, about this and that? No, Quran also educates those. However, you think it's enough? Is modernism civilizing people, educating people enough to protect society, to protect children, women? Is it enough? No, it's not. I'll give you examples. Let me give you one before we go to the slides. The church fathers, the Catholic church fathers are the biggest pedophiles. Not all of them. Not all of them. The ones we know, the ones they report, the ones they announce at least. Thousands of them are involved with sexual assaults, with children even, not just ladies. Don't they have education? They do have education. Aren't they civilized? They are civilized. So there is something missing. So civilization, education is necessary but not enough. If civilization is enough protection, then why the civilized countries, so-called civilized countries, have the highest rate of sexual assaults and rapes today? I'm talking about today. Aren't they civilized? Rape and other forms of sexual assaults are significantly common in Western societies and communities with low or no religious values. The countries with low or no religious values are commonly famous for sexual assault incidents and rapes. See the figure number 3. Figure number 3, please. This is worldpopulationreview.com. Check it out. I'll read a few sentences from this. It says, in the United States, the frequency of rape in the United States averages out to 1 every 1 to 2 minutes. You heard it right? Every 1 to 2 minutes, one woman is being raped in the United States. How many minutes I've been talking now? 40 minutes. My apologies, I already finished my time, but I will wrap up. Already 30 to 40 women are raped when I started this lecture in the United States up to now. 40 people, 30 people. Can you see that in Islamic countries? Impossible. And most of these are young girls, 19-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old. They report. By the way, it's only 5% of the reported incidents. 95% of the incidents, the rapes and sexual assaults, are not even reported to police. Who says that? Canada. Justice, the Department of Justice in Canada. We will go to the slide. Slide number 4, please. In this table, the top countries like South Africa, which are almost 80% Christian populated and 15% atheist, no religion, they have the highest sexual assault in the world, 132.4 every 100,000. Sweden is number 1 in the world, in the Europe. Sweden, it's 63% Christian and 61% Christian and 18% atheist, almost 80%. 80% either Christian or atheist. They are the number 1 in Europe for sexual assault incidents. 63 out of from 100,000 population. Compare it with Egypt. Compare it with Egypt, which there are only 10% Christians. The rest are Muslims, 90% Muslims. There is only 0.1 out of 100,000. What it means, from 1 million population of Egyptians, only 1 incident of sexual assault happens. However, in Sweden, from 1 million population, how many happens? 635 incidents. Compare 635 sexual assaults in the civilized modern country like Sweden With Egypt, which they don't call it civilized, they have only one. One compared with 634. This is a disaster. So the education and civilization doesn't help, man. The statistics prove it doesn't help. Something is missing. In Syria, we have only 0.8. In Turkey, we have 1.5. In Qatar, 1.8. It's nothing comparing with those civilized countries. Figure number 5. The map shows Europe, America, Australia, South Africa, Sweden, the highest rate of rape, sexual assault. Middle East, you don't see much. Next figure number 6. It tells you every 68 seconds an American is sexually assaulted. Again, this is only 5% of the report. This is official report. These are the cases, girls, their parents or their schoolmates, they bring it to the police attention. They take it to court. 68 seconds, every 68 seconds, one American is being sexually assaulted. However, it's only 5%. I calculated. 8,640 cases of sexual crimes every day happening in the world. 3,153,600 crimes, sexual crimes, per day, per year happening in the world. 3,153,000, that's more than the population of entire Toronto. We have 2.7 million population in Toronto. More than the population of Toronto, women are being sexually assaulted in the world every year. Most of it in European countries and American and Canadian societies. You see, the Department of Justice, Canadian Department of Justice, reported that 37 sexual assaults happen per 1,000 women. That means 3.7%. 3.7% the rate of sexual assault in Canada. And police says, if you go to next figure number 9, these are from the justice.gc.ca, the government of Canada. I didn't make up these. These are available for public. It's not hidden. It's not secret. Public should know it. It says, the police says, this is only 5%. 95% of the sexual assaults are not reported in Canada to police. How they know it, I don't know. I don't think they lie. Nobody lies against the hurt his own country's reputation. And the Justice Department approves it, accepts it. That's why they put in their website. So that means 2.7% becomes what? 75%, almost. 75% of the women population in Canada experienced sexual assault in year 2014. That means every 4 women, 3 of them had the case of sexual assault in Canada. Excuse me, we are known the modern, civilized, multicultural, respectful people on the earth. We Canadians, we are famous for it. Why this happening then? You judge. My opinion is because there is no modesty. There is no dress code. Look at the videos, look at the internet, look at the games, look at the people in the streets and shopping malls. Look at the schools, the education centers and universities. That's my opinion. So, my last point. Sexual assault, according to, again, the Department of Justice and the police, is a gender-related crime. What it means, women are victims of sexual assaults. 8 times more than men. Means from every 9 crimes, sexual crimes, 8 of them are women, they get victimized. Only 1 is man. Well, there may be a poor boy or someone just went the wrong way, wrong direction. Now, do you know the reason why Islam has more strict on women's dress than man? Why Islam wants to protect women more than man? Statistics tells you. It tells you that because women are more victims, they are more likely to be victims of sexual assaults. That's why they say you dress better. Who's going to attack this guy with beard and with crooked nose and look at his head? Who's going to attack him for sexual assault? No way. But you put in a 50, 60, 70-year-old woman undressed or badly dressed in the street. From every 10 men, maybe 9 of them is going to look at her. And if it's safe, they're going to do sexual assault. I just read the Department of Justice report.
Because you don't have exact Iran.
Well, I think you didn't understand in my point. Okay, I just read the report of police. Canadian police says approximately 75% of the women experienced sexual assault in year 2004. I didn't go through the detail. And compare 2016 and 17. Now listen to this. Compare 2016 and 17, there was 14% increase in sexual assaults. In 1 year, the sexual crimes increased 14%. That's a disaster in a country like Canada. Can we hide it? No. It's available for public. Go check the justice.gc.ca. I am living in Canada. I am concerned in Canadian society. My lecture finished. I'll give chance now to audience. If anybody has question, please raise your hand and ask your question. If I'm able to answer, I will answer. If not, we will leave to elders to answer. Please go ahead. Any question? If you are not able to speak English, feel free to ask in Farsi. Yes, go ahead.
I can say, I live in Canada and I live in Iran. When I go to the street, I feel safe in Canada but not in Iran.
That's wonderful. You are lucky that you are living in Canada. So we have to appreciate our community here. Thank you. یه صلواتی لطفاً بفرستید. Thank you very much. Yes, sister. Either take the microphone or come closer so I can hear what you're saying. Just come to the front line.
Thank you so much for the nice speech.
My pleasure.
My question is, Islam
Sorry?
Islam gives a lot of right to women, but unfortunately it is not implemented properly.
Exactly.
And the perpetrator are all men.
Exactly.
My question is how you and also him and also the
Dr.
other
Misbah,
religious
yes.
leader, they can help the Muslim community, especially the men, that they can accept the right of the woman.
Yes. We have to follow Imam Ali's letter to Malik, number 53.
Yeah. And that
Imam Ali's letter tells us what to do.
Okay.
Yes.
The another question I have, according to the sexual assault, and there's regarding the hijab, right now the people are saying that why the Muslim men are so weak, and then when they saw a woman without clothes, all the perpetrator or men of Muslim. My question is, do you have any information about this data that you gave?
Or you are saying why they are all Muslim?
No. سوال ماست میگه که زنها را اسلام مثلا شما میگین که قید نگاه میکنه حجاب مثل زندان است که نیست.
درسته.
ولی میگن که حال بحث میگه مردم مسلمان ها بسیار ضعیف هستند، ضعیف نفس است.
درسته.
وقتی خانمان میبینن تحریک میشن.
اوکی.
این گپ نیست، غلط است.
بله.
ما سوالم ایست که آیا در این دیتایی که شما به حساب سکشوال اسالت داشتین راجع به کسایی که کار انجام دادن راجع به مردا آیا شما معلومات اینا دارید؟
بله 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 من نرفتم به جزئیات. Let me repeat the question in English. Are everybody comfortable with English? And everybody comfortable with Persian, Farsi? Okay, so I'll say in Farsi. اجازه می‌فرمایید. خواهرمون میپرسه که بعضیا میگن که چون مردان مسلمان ضعیف النفسند، برای همین در کشورهای اسلامی به زنهای مسلمان میگن حجاب داشته باشه. در غرب در مردای غیر مسلمان نیستن. من همین الان آمار رو گذاشتم، در بیشترین آمار تجاوز و آزار و اذیت جنسی در کشورهای غربیه. آمریکا هر 10-15 ثانیه یک زن مورد آزار جنسی قرار میگیره. این آمار رسمی خودشونه. در کانادا 74% خانم ها در سال 2014 مورد آزار جنسی قرار گرفتن. بین 2016 و 2017 14% هم افزایش داشته این کرایم ها، این آزارهای جنسی. در آفریقای جنوبی که 80% مسیحیان و غیر مذهبیان، مسلمان ها خیلی ماینورتیان، اقلیتن، بیشترین آمار تجاوز و آزار جنسی در آفریقای جنوبی که اکثریت مسیحیان. در کشورهای اسلامی مثل مصر به ازای هر 1 میلیون نفر یک مورد آزار جنسی هست. یعنی اصلا هیچ، در مقابل آمارهایی مثل سوئد که بیش از 600 تا آزار جنسی هست، در حالی که در مصر یک آزار. کجای این به معنی اینه که مسلمان‌ها ضعیف النفسن؟ نه. بفرمایید.
با سلام خدمت حضار گرامی. First of all, I would like to thank brother Esmail Hemmati for his very learned, he's a very learned scholar, and I admire him. He has a lot of data and records of so much sexual assault in the world, and there are many questions that is being again the mind of many of our audience. My suggestion is that because the time is running out and almost done, so next week we will have the same discussion but in Persian. And so it's just a summary of what you have said, and then we go with question and answer together. By Dr. Karim. Salawatin al-Fatiha.